another way that I look at the Core Four is it's like an insurance policy to keep you from screwing up. Because if you, what are they? There's a couple of different sayings in scripture out there. Is like idle time creates, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
it's not healthy. Hey, welcome back to the Core Four Convos podcast. I'm Eric Brewer.
And I'm Matt Toth. Nice to be on here today, Eric, with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Yeah. So Core Four.
Yeah.
I love it. A lot of people are stoked about it.
Yeah.
We had a really solid turnout at our last event, and I think one of the things that I saw people kind of perk up over was how it all began. And I'd love to hear what inspired you to start it, the authenticity of it, the vulnerability is something that I think we don't see a lot of in common meetups.
So. Yeah, that's a good segue. That's in large part why I felt compelled to do something like this. The original inspiration came from my own personal experience that for a very, very long time, I was much like the meetups we go to where I had a singular focus. It was money, work, accomplishment, recognition, significance, all of these things that as I got older and got more experience and reflected more often, I found that wasn't the only thing and turns out to not be even really the most important thing. So in my own personal life, that required me to become a more well-rounded human. And that ended up being in a couple areas of life. It started with getting in better shape and eating better, exercising more often, prioritizing sleep, stretching. And I saw obviously the physical, visible impacts of losing weight and liking the way I looked better. And then like this weird thing happened is the significance and the performance and the money and all of that stuff increased as my weight decreased. So I started to see what was unfolding as a direct correlation between getting in better health and performance better as a executive.
Wow.
And right around that same time, I got brought back to church by my son, and I started spending more time in scripture and started behaving more like a Christian. Saw a similar thing, like my relationships, my work, other stuff started to improve. So slowly, as you can see where that's headed, as I started to focus on other areas of my life that didn't seem directly correlated to business got better. And combine that with the meetups and the networking and the events that we go through. Very rarely does it ever talk about those things. They focus almost exclusively on the networking aspect and the business aspect. And I said, I see why people go and do them and they serve a purpose, but what if someone started doing something that wasn't about the thing and it was about the other things that actually make the thing better? And that's where the idea of doing something and serving a part of the community that is professional and they are looking for networking, but maybe making the focus of it and the purpose of it a little bit different and focusing on the development of the inside of the person, maybe not the outside.
Love that. Yeah. Eric and I had, our relationship spawned from a breakfast that we had. I mean, I had been basically watching your company from afar, like always kind of been inspired to invest. And I was just began to watch your company, and I was like, I got to figure this out. I gotta meet this guy. And we've met for a breakfast, and I know that like when I'm in my role here in the business development world, I mean, I try to have as many lunches as possible with people. I think I remember you telling me that early on, like the breakfast meetings that you had with people were some of the most intimate meetings, and you've had some of the best relationships formed from those meetings. And that's kind of what Core Four is we're bringing all of those people into one room,
Yeah.
and we're all sitting down together, having breakfast, getting to know each other. And we got pretty vulnerable at the breakfast that we had, right? That, we started talking about family, addiction, just life, love, and the pursuit of it all. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about Core Four.
Well, that's a great example is most of that breakfast when you reached out to me and when I accepted, we didn't intend to get into the other stuff, right? It was probably
Not at
very
all.
much going to be like a two-man meetup,
Yeah.
right? It was a two-man real estate meetup. When what I learned is that most of those conversations, when they went well, stretched beyond professional and became personal. And often when it became personal, we were talking about either faith, family, fitness, or friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or balance being business or body.
Yeah.
And so all of that kind of happens around the same time. And that's when it just seemed like it was very logical and almost like I had to do this because there just seemed to be a demand and no supply.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we got the supply, so
and it's going well. We've had, I don't know, we were just talking about that, north of 5 or 6 meetings.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think that would make it a little bit better is if we could get more people there, which obviously, doing things like this to spread the word. And because most people wouldn't know what to look for. I think when they look at networking events or, when they carve out extra time, either away from work or away from their family, rightfully so, they're pretty selective about where they go. They got to be able to see some type of benefit or return on that sacrifice that they're making. So
Yeah.
love to be able to get more people there.
Yeah, and I also like this last Core Four, we had one of our own, Adrian Young's has built a real estate team, 20 years, 19 years in the industry, built a brand new team, came in and shared a little bit about what goes on in his day, right? And a lot of it came down to his daily habits, and just what basically he does in the morning kind of controls his day. And I know that you're big on the whole miracle morning and controlling, getting up earlier, getting your exercise in. And it's just cool to have a spot to kind of talk through that with people that might be struggling with it. Like, I know for me, my journey, like you said, yours kind of started with fitness. Mine was, I mean, just very open and transparent about my story, but mine was, drugs and alcohol for many years. And I just reached a point where I just knew I needed to change, or I just couldn't go on anymore. So I think for me, it was probably faith.
It's interesting you say that. I try and, by the way, I'm still very new at this, right? Like my focus on these 4 areas is not something I've been at for a long time. So I'm far from an expert, but what I am an expert in is my own personal experience and the way that it made me feel when I wasn't doing it and how I felt when I did do it and what was hard about getting started and what makes it easy to slip back into old habits. And then what happens when you actually get all this stuff working together? Like what's the payoff? And the I think the interesting thing is that I look at the Core Four as like an insurance policy around sin or addiction, or right? Because think about it: if you're exercising and you're spending time in Scripture, or you're connected to a bigger purpose in life, which is what we call being or faith, right?
Yep.
It can take on many different shapes. If you're spending like quality time with your key relationships, your spouse, your kids, your friends, and you're managing and contributing to and being responsible with your finances, it's almost always one of those 4 things that deteriorates, that pushes someone to unwholesome behavior, right?
Yeah.
So
I've
like,
never heard of that. Insurance against sin.
but it kind of is. It's like number one, you don't have much time left. Like I can tell you, in order for me to be focused on the core four, I'm exhausted. Like to get up in the morning and to journal and to meditate and to pray and to exercise and to journal and to read a book. Like, bro, I don't. What was I'm saying? You got to get up at least an hour before the sun.
Yeah.
Unless you work unless you have nowhere to be before 8 in the morning, you got to get up at 5:30 or so to get that stuff in. And if you're doing some of it at night, right, and you work till 5, 6 o'clock, and then you have dinner and the one thing is like when I say it's an insurance policy is one, you're less likely to even want that other stuff if you're doing these things because you'll get. I can tell you my experience with alcohol addiction or addiction to women or partying or attention or idolatry was because I wasn't getting that fulfillment the natural way. All the bad habits we have is just a shortcut to getting the feelings of acceptance or significance that we should get through exercise,
Yeah.
a relationship with a significant other, a bigger connection to a purpose in life that goes beyond ourselves, and having enough money that we don't struggle.
Business. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another way that I look at the core four is it's like an insurance policy to keep you from screwing up. Because if you, what are they, there's a couple of different sayings in scripture out there is like idle time creates, right? Like it's not healthy. So, and I think that's the thing. If you look back at Adrian's presentation, if you boil it down, he was like, I had good morning habits and now I've built this amazing team after 19 years of doing it one way. The last 2 years have been amazing because I'm basically getting up and exercising.
Yeah.
I'm journaling. We read every day. So
got his whole team doing it.
yeah. So everybody else focuses on like sell more or pitch this or market this way. And I think what we're doing is so impactful because it's the foundation that allows people to be brilliant because their body, their spirit, their emotions, their finances, and their family are in a safe place and allows them to focus and like it creates the environment to be extraordinary. Otherwise it's forced. It feels really, really hard. Like I didn't work out today and today has felt tough.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything is forced and it's a grind and there's friction. Where the days when I get up and I get all my stuff done, it just sort of happens. Things go my way.
With my injury. You know, I tore my tendon in my elbow and I had a really solid routine, right? Like I knew what I was doing for my chest. I knew what I was doing for my tries, and I've had to adjust that. And it's like I can tell in the way I'm grabbing an extra bag of chips here and there because I'm just, I don't know. But it's like, I guess the question is like, what do I got to double down on to get to stay out of that? You know, like if I continue to go down that path, I know where that leads, right?
So I talked to my personal coach today about that, and he was like, so we went through this whole exercise and he's like, well, what needs to happen in order for you to take this next step, to get from where you are to the next place that you want to be that takes you to this next phase? And I was like, I want to be a guy that gets up at 5. He's like, okay, what's keeping you from doing that? And we went through and it was like my nighttime routine. So my inability, and he's like, well, what's keeping you up at night? And I'm like, honestly, dude, I'm on my phone or I'm watching TV. Like, he's like, okay. And I was like, well, I'll just stop. And he goes, we've been talking about this for 1.5 years. You're not just going to stop. He said, I forget the exact words, but it was something about like environment is the key to strategy. So, and I messed that up, but bear with me for a second. And what he said was like, you have to change your environment in order for the strategy of going to bed earlier and waking up earlier to work. So where we ended up was I had to commit to shutting down my phone at 8 o'clock. It's away.
TV.
I'm allowed to till 9 as long as I wear blue blockers. As you said, the blue light from the TV will make it hard for me to sleep. I need to walk a half mile to a mile after my last meal before bedtime. As he said, it burns off like glucose and stuff like that, which is sugar and could make it harder. So when you burn that off, you'll crash. It's like a sugar crash because you burned it off. And in the morning, He had me do something else, like which is in Miracle Morning, put your phone across the room so that you can't snooze. But it was cool. He changed the environment to make it more likely, like change the environment, which I'm sure you can share about, like when you're trying to stop drinking, you got to change your environment, right? It's probably how you knew where I was headed, but it was really cool to have him work through that with me. And like the second most exciting thing is how to impact me. And I think what, in the context of the Core Four, is what I can't wait to do is give that advice to somebody else and help somebody else. That's what I love about learning, is that if you only look at it for your own benefit, it's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like the way my process works is I learn, I implement, I reflect, I share, I teach, I pray, I learn again. So that's how, like, if I'm working in my Core Four, that's the natural,
I love that.
like, thing that happens for me. And then if I get off one of my routines, or I sleep in, or I stay up late, or I'm on social media too much, it like breaks the whole flywheel. And that's what I love about our ability to be able to well, you go ahead, you have a question.
No, you got to be thinking about the whole change of environment. And like, it reminded me when I first stopped drinking, like I would drive home on the same street, right? And I would always, there was a liquor store that I would pass, and my mentor was like, I would call him every day and like, dude, I'm thinking about alcohol. I'm thinking about alcohol. And he's like, why don't you go home a different route? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you pass the same liquor store that you've been going to every day. And it was just something that simple that for the next week that I stopped doing that, right? I went like 2 roads down, and it was a little longer of a drive, but I stopped thinking about it. It was like this obsession that was there. And this is the same thing. I have a friend that he removed his TV. He will not take his phone in his bedroom. This dude's single, and he made this decision to remove his TV. His phone's not allowed to go in. And he's like, dude, I have not slept this good my entire life.
Yeah.
And he's done it for, I want to say it's like almost coming up on a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I feel when I don't have my devices, like, it's like my skin's gonna crawl if I'm not allowed to lay here and doom scroll while my wife's over there snoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he goes back to, like, I was, and that's when you mentioned about TV, and I was talking to my coach, and I said, so I put the phone away, but the TV, and he's like, dude, the TV pales in comparison to the dopamine hit that your brain takes from scrolling. He's like, that literally social media and timelines and algorithms are hardwired to literally make you obsessive. TV's not. He's like, we got bigger fish to fry than you worried about TV. Keep the phone out of the room, and we'll make a big step towards getting better. So,
what else you touched on? Your cycle, right? It all came back to you wanting to help other people. And I like Core Four because we will often break it up into these, groups of 1-on-1 or 2v2, or maybe a table of 4 people, and we'll ask ourselves like a very vulnerable question. And typically there's somebody in the group that, like, it's the same with recovery. Like, one day I'll go to a recovery meeting and I'll be the guy that's like up here. I'll be the guy that you can clearly see, like, wow, this guy's in a good spot, right? Spiritually, physically, mentally. But then the very next day I go to that same meeting and I'm the guy at the bottom. And it's all based on like my spiritual conditioning. So what I do on the days that I'm down
yeah,
is like instantly my mentors were always like, you got to go help somebody. And it was very difficult for me to understand the concept of helping somebody else helps myself. And I like, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was like a one-on-one conversation at the last Core Four about somebody that was struggling. And it just so happened to be something that like I had some experience in. And like, I instantly just felt like, wow, like this is amazing that I woke up this morning. I was probably complaining about something that I didn't have, or something that I was worried about losing, or
yeah,
not enough money or whatever. And just simply by helping that person, I felt like instantly better. And that's what I got out of your whole cycle thing. So Sorry, we don't follow
What's
tangent
no,
here.
what's interesting about that is why. So those are the questions that I like to ask you. Why do you feel, it's, by the way, it's not just you. Why do people feel better when they help somebody else?
I think it ties into purpose.
We're made that way.
Mm-hmm.
By who?
The great creator.
Yeah. So like then and then why did he make us that way? I think he made us that way to get us to help more people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So like to me, those are the conversations that come out of the Core Four that aren't necessarily being talked about at your normal networking event. And for me, while there's certainly so much value in the marketplace for real estate meetups and masterminds and all that stuff, I think it's a conversation not enough people are having.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to a lot of our customers too, which is, as one of the leaders of this organization, a lot of the things we do and why we do it and when we do it is predicated on me.
Mm.
And I look at the alignment between our business and the folks that we're able to help sell a home.
Mm-hmm.
And the atmosphere that we're creating for Core Four is the same. They need help. They're not sure how to ask for it. The marketplace doesn't readily have a product or service available for their situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're willing to do the work or have the conversations or give the help that other people aren't willing to do.
Have the resources.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
When you look at it and go, what does the Core Four have to do with Eric Buys Your House? To me, they're completely related. It's conversations and service and help that people need that sometimes they don't even know, or maybe they're just not sure how to ask for it. Like when you think about it in your experience in helping people with addiction, like one of the hardest things is to just say, I need help,
Mm-hmm.
and to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's the same with Core Four is if someone's struggling with, when I made the decision to get healthier, like I knew I needed it. I was grossly overweight. I was like not happy. I was emotionally eating. I was, but I didn't, I was like embarrassed to walk into LA Fitness or Crunch and go, hey, can somebody help me get in shape? Right. It's like, it's kind of embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing.
Jump off point.
Yeah.
It's like the leap of faith.
And I just snapped one day. It was like, enough's enough. But I don't think you got to get to that point. And I guess that's what I'm saying is like, I think one of the things that we can create with the Core Four and sharing it here and the events that we hold is it needs to be such a welcoming atmosphere, and everybody needs to be welcome. And there's got to be this sense of vulnerability and lack of judgment and all this grace that's given to people. Otherwise, those if you don't create the atmosphere or the environment, the conversation never happens. We have a bunch of people to get together. They come because they're looking for something different. It's not different enough. They don't get or feel the way they wanted to feel, and then they don't come back.
Yeah.
So
I got to ask you a couple questions here. This first one's on faith. So when you look back over the years, what role did faith play in getting you through an uncertain time?
That would be super recently. Because for most of I'll give you just a little context and then I'll answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
From the age of, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, until I graduated high school, my mom would take me to church, or our families would go to church. But what happened is that the reason I say my mom first and then our families is, my mom was married and divorced 3 times over the course of my childhood. And that led to me going to 5 different schools between kindergarten and 9th grade. And as you can imagine, like watching marriages start and end sometimes come with a lot of baggage and he said, she said, fights and arguments, and sometimes infidelity. And like, think about a lot of the ugly ways that marriages can end. And I witnessed it as early as 5 and as old as 16, 17 years old. So what I saw at church and the things that my family members would say and commit to and profess and the actual things that took place at home didn't match up. So by the time I came out of my home, I saw church people as hypocrites. So as soon as I was out of the house, I was like, well, I'm not a hypocrite, so I'm not going to church.
The more I get to know you, the more we're a lot of
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
Similar.
So, and then you flash forward 30 years, and my son goes off to a prep school. He was an aspiring collegiate scholarship athlete, and it made sense for him at that time to go off to an all-boys boarding school. It was a change of atmosphere for him. He needed to level up, and he needed to be in a different atmosphere, and he went there. And one of his coaches was coaching him through how to play with more confidence, and faith came up. And my son said, like, we're not really church religious people. And the coach said, well, here's what I think you would get out of that, and here's why I believe. And my son said, well, tell me more. And he took him to FCA, which is kind of like Core Four for that. It's the foundation of Christian athletes, I think is what it is.
Wow.
And next thing I know is like a week later, my son gets saved. He gets at school by his coach and completely changes like his confidence level. And a year later, he gets a full scholarship to play college basketball, which was his dream.
Wow.
So there was this period of his life where he found God, he became a committed Christian, and a year later, his dreams come true. So he's the one that actually got me back to church. And I was doing it not because I was looking for anything. I just wanted to spend more time with my son, and it was something we could do together. And that's all it took for me. But when I got there, it got a hold of me. And the time where faith, so the answer to the question is Q2 2022 is felt like 2008 to real estate people, because interest rates went from 3% to like 8 in a matter of 6 months, right? We got through COVID, the post-COVID recovery, rates drop, everything happens. Mid 2022, interest rates triple almost. And we had a boatload of inventory that was bought to be able to sell to landlords who were buying because rates were low. So I was carrying a couple $1 million worth of inventory. I was looking down the pipeline, and I got super nervous. I got worried. I wasn't sleeping. I was drinking. I was a mess. And I remember talking to my coach, Cole Taylor, and he was, had just started on my fitness journey, and I went like 3 weeks without doing any of my stuff. And he's like, what's going on? I was like, business.
That was the answer.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's like, I'll never forget. He said, well, how often do you have conversations with God? And I was like, bro, well, come on, man. I'm trying to figure out like how to sell these properties. Like, interest rates are high. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, why don't we just pray right now? And at that point I was so okay, man, that's fine. And something just clicked, and I felt better. Nothing changed about my situation. Like, none of these properties sold. And he's like, all I want you to do is just make a commitment to praying first thing in the morning and last thing before you go to bed. And if something happens throughout the day and you feel overwhelmed, just excuse yourself and have a conversation with God. And tell him what you want and tell him how you're feeling. And he hears everything. That's all you got to do. So I started doing it. And don't you know, property sells, property sells, property sells. This happens. This deal comes together. And in almost every one of those situations, it didn't seem appropriate. Like, it was like, it didn't make sense that buyer bought that property for that much money under those. It just didn't quite make sense.
Things were happening.
And that was it. That was it for me. So, I mean, I literally went from like, there was probably a month where 5 days a week, I didn't sleep. And I might've got an hour sleep. Just, I had like inventory. We'd have 100 properties, and I'm just like, addresses. When I closed my eyes, I would see addresses and loan payoffs and, all of that stuff. I mean, because at any given time, we got $25-30 million worth of inventory, like, in the pipeline. And so that was a very pivotal moment for me. That's been just over 3 years. And as a result, prayer and faith has become a fundamental part of my life.
Love that. Love that. So I have one around family. What are some boundaries that you set to keep your family at the center of it all?
I think it's probably the opposite. I don't have any.
Okay.
So if you've ever heard me talk about this topic before, and this is all like, if you work at Google, this might not work. If you work for AT&T, this might not work.
Mm-hmm.
I think the need to the reason people have to create boundaries is because there are boundaries to begin with. If the fact that we talk about this stuff at home
Mm-hmm.
means there's not a boundary. I don't tell you not to bring your home life to work, do I?
No.
I encourage you to actually bring it, because if you need to talk about it or you need support or you need help,
Mm-hmm.
unselfishly, I want to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. Selfishly, I know if Matt is well put together at home, right, and his
Mm-hmm.
relationship is where it needs to be, and he has the appropriate time, money, energy to be able to give to his wife, I'm likely to get more performance out of him.
Yep.
So I think the answer is I don't have boundaries. My family is a part of my business, and my business is a part of my family.
Yeah.
And I know that's not possible in every professional setup, but it's available and it's possible here.
It's beautiful.
And I think that when you set boundaries, you're ultimately saying to yourself that one of those things will have to suffer inevitably. Because by boundary, if you say, hey, I never intrude on my family time at 5 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
you may have a customer or a coworker that needs you at 5:02 and you're not available. So I try and eliminate my always and nevers. Like I think that's just a very selective about the things that I give an always label or a nevers label, and they need to be value or fundamentally aligned, not boundaries when it comes to like
Mm-hmm.
work. And does it make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And I mean, that was more of a personal question. Just, it's been an adjustment for me leaving to being honest, a cushy hotel job that I've had for so many years. And um like I just had this like burning inside of me. Like I knew there was more out there, and a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, a lot of faith. And I just find myself keep telling my wife it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like
What's gonna happen?
just that things will change.
Which things?
Money, time, freedom. It's not I'm not talking about nicer cars but just to have more quality time with my wife, to be able to take a
Can I
vacation.
tell you something though?
Yeah,
It's already available.
yeah.
Nothing has to change other than just your approach or your mindset to have more time or freedom.
Interesting.
There's something about your situation that could be made more efficient that you would. Here's what tell me if I'm wrong. When you tell your wife it's going to change, what you're saying is this isn't the ideal situation that we're in now, and bear with me long enough until I can get it across the finish line. Is that fair to say?
Ooh. In a sense, like it's been like that.
Don't make her
with
wait.
Investments,
but don't make it wait. Why? What's keeping you from giving her what you tell her to wait for right now?
I don't know. I guess like for me, it's like I want to one day just walk in the door and say, "You can quit your job."
Does she want to?
Yeah, I'm sure she wouldn't mind.
How would you know for sure?
I'm pretty sure I know for sure.
So you've asked her?
Yeah.
Okay. And she would.
I mean, she's
quit.
4 years away, 5 years away from retirement.
Okay.
So, but yeah, she would. I'm sure she would.
What happens in 4 years though with retirement? Is there a pension and stuff that comes along with it?
Oh yeah, there's that. But I kept. It was one of those things where, like, I saw what my dad's done with his investments, and I was like I gotta figure this out, right? So, Kimmy met with you.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask about that is because a lot of times we function and our brain always looks at an either or. Like I can either give my wife what she's looking for as far as quality time, or I can do my thing at work. What I would challenge you to do is say, how do I do both?
Ooh. Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, it's a slim chance it's not possible. I would tell you, if you actually sit down and work through it, there's a real way for you to get both. There's more value, more quality time. First, you got to define it. How much more quality time? Like, does she want you around do you guys want to hang out 12 hours a day, or would you like to be home 2 hours extra per day? 5 hours
I don't
extra
have a solid definition on
but
it.
define it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
That's
what you
step
mean.
one. How much more quality time? Right? And then look at your situation and say, where do I have 5 hours available? You'd have to say no to something,
Yeah.
right? You'd have to say no to something else to say yes to that.
Well, like for instance, when I bought the rental, right?
Yeah.
Like here's a good example. For 2 months, like I worked 7 days a week.
Mhm.
I wanted to be hands-on with it. I wanted to, get my hands dirty, find out how to use tools I didn't know how to use.
But look, it wasn't, so 7 days a week doesn't matter. It was the additional days you were working over your normal schedule.
Right.
So that was 2 days extra.
Yeah, technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
16 hours potentially for how many weeks?
Basically 2.5 months.
Okay. So you owe your wife,
This is getting deep. I love this.
70 hours,
Okay.
right?
But what I'm getting at is that I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna do that 10 more times, and
But
like,
but you don't. You owe her 70 hours.
I see what you mean.
That's a 3-day trip.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, say, hey, I tell you what, I'm gonna for 2.5 months, I'm gonna disappear, and when I'm finished, we're gonna go on a 3-day trip, and we're gonna hang out together for 3 days, and it's gonna be wherever you want to go, and
We are.
make it
Yeah.
okay. So what I'm saying, that's you're doing both. You don't have
Yeah.
to say wait 10 years till I do it 10 more times.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way for you to do both, because here's what I can tell you: most people never get to the 10 years, and the damage that's done over the 10 years doesn't matter, and the person doesn't want the quality time with us at the end because they felt disenfranchised over the length of time that it took to get there. And I bet if you look around, you wouldn't have to look too far to find examples of that, of people that you know.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is learn from that.
Yeah.
Think more in terms of and, not or.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, the short version is I think the absence of boundaries allows me maximum freedom in both.
Yeah. Like that. Another question here for you. It's around fitness. For someone who's trying to grow in business, what's one small habit that you would never give up?
I think if you pay attention here, 15-minute walks. I think it's like we always talk
You do
about
a lot
like
of walking.
0 to 1, or the lowest barrier to entry, or there's another theory out there called minimum effective dose. And there's something that happens when you're outside and you're moving and your blood is flowing and there's air being forced into your lungs. And that version of, so one of the things I would say is the lowest like commitment of exercise is just walking, where we learn how to walk when we're a year old, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And so it's easy. It's the first real thing that we can do that allows us to be on our own. Just walk 5,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
And then move to
Yeah.
10. But like, it's literally walking. Like for me, I try and set a timer. I need to do it soon. I'm at 5,000 steps. I should be at 7. I need to make time in the next hour to go outside and do 11 laps around the building, which will be a mile, and I'll be at 8,000 steps.
We have step battles here. Joe and Abby were.
And the thing that happens is I get salespeople that call me all the time and go, man, I want to sell more. What should I do? And I'll ask them a couple questions like, you need to go to the gym in the morning. They're like, what? And like, no, I want to sell more. Like, I'll get in shit. And like, you're not going to sell more until you start exercising. There's plenty of scientific proof of like how it improves, like it releases dopamine, you become more confident, it strengthens your discipline muscles, your cognitive ability speeds up, which means you literally have the ability to solve problems, more complex problems, in a shorter period of time, which is what sales and management and communication is. So I would say moving your body. And for someone that's not doing any of that now, I would walk first thing in the morning, like get out of bed, go for a 5-minute walk. And that's like literally you walk a 1/10 of a mile away from your house, turn around and come back. It'll make a difference. Do it once right after you eat lunch. Like eat lunch and go for a walk. Most people have an afternoon crash and it affects their ability. So that'll prevent that from happening. And then do it after your last meal before bed and you'll sleep better. Yeah. Those 3 things would contribute to being a better performer no matter your role. And if you're in sales, it's the stakes are even higher.
My granddad was a walker. He walked on golf courses. He would pick up golf balls, bring them back, bleach them, put them in egg cartons, and he used to take me to the flea market.
Selling.
And we would, put the titles with the titles. Then we had a shit bucket that we would sell 10 for $1. That's where I first learned how to
Hustle.
wheel a deal.
Yeah.
But he was a walker. That was my point. And he lived till he was in his mid-90s, just healthy, passed peacefully in his sleep. And we used to always say that, like, Granddad just loves walking. He never stopped moving.
And you think about, like, one of the bigger things as you get older is cognitive decline that eventually could lead to dementia. And walking and exercise. Ask ChatGPT, how do I live longer? You should do it.
I've never done that.
Oh, it'll tell you. And walking's near the top of the list.
Yeah.
So walking will actually help you live longer. And for those of us, or those of you that are young enough, it'll make you more productive as long as you care about that being important. So
this has been amazing. I enjoyed getting to know Eric a little better, sharing with our audience a little bit about Core Four and why it's important to us, why it's special to us. I got one last question, just short version answer. If we were to record this 3 years from now, Eric, with what growth would you like to see in the Core Four?
I very much view myself in those 4 areas, like the Sherman Street Bridge, if any of you know York, and it's under construction, and it's been that way for way too long. And what I would like to look is 3 years ahead, to look back and say that there's been a noticeable revival that has taken place. And while I'm under construction, it should be more maintenance level. And I would hope that in all 4 areas of the life that I am nearly unrecognizable 3 years from now.
Wow. That's deep.
Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you.
Good job.
Yeah, same.